In this lesson, we will be working with equations that have more than one variables in them. So get your pen and your notebook out and let's take some notes. A formula is going to be a vocabulary word that I am going to want to see written down in your notes. A formula is an algebraic equation that relates two or more variables which stand for real-life quantities. For example, we could have the formula A equals L times W, which is the formula for the area of a square or a rectangle. So our A stands for area. Oh, sorry, that's a bad A. Let me fix that. Our L stands for length. And our W would stand for width because the area of a rectangle is length times width. The problem with dealing with real-life variables and equations, though, is that we aren't always given the pieces in a nice fashion. So say we do have our area formula here, but let's say that we don't know what the width of a room is. Let's say we know what the total area should be and we know what the length should be, but we don't know the width. Well, how can we find it? When dealing with formulas, the lucky part is that we can rearrange to solve for a certain variable or isolate that variable. So if we are looking for the width, we can just divide the width by L, because right now it is being multiplied by the length. And then of course, what we do to one side of an equation, we have to do to the other. So that way, when we isolate our W, we will get our area over our length, or our area divided by our length, equals our width. We now have an equation that we can use to figure out what our width is. Let's walk through another example. Say we're going on a trip, and we know how far we're going, and we know how much time we have to get there. We want to find out what our average speed or our average rate should be for our trip. So we can use our distance formula, which is distance equals rate times time. And since we know our distance and we know how much time we have to get there, we are going to be looking for our rate, or how fast we should travel on average. So how do we isolate R? Well, right now R and T are being multiplied together, and to undo multiplication, or the inverse operation of multiplication, is division. So I want to divide by T. But now, to keep everything balanced, since I divided the right side by T, I need to divide the left side by T. And getting my R alone, I get that R, or my rate, is going to equal my distance over my time. If we are given the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 times base times height, and we want to solve for our base, so we want to isolate our B, how can we do it? Well, to the left, it's being multiplied by 1/2. And how do we undo multiplying by a fraction? Well, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we're multiplied by 2 over 1. And what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. So we're going to multiply our A by 2 over 1. So our 2's on the right side cancel out to 1. And on the left side then, we're going to get 2A equals our B times our H. Well, we still want to get B alone, and right now B is being multiplied by our H. So the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by H. So our H's will cancel out into 1. And to find our base for given the area of a triangle, we are going to have to do 2 times our area divided by our height. And we have now isolated our B. One last example will be the area, or the formula for perimeter. perimeter equals 2 times our length plus 2 times our width. And if we want to solve for our width, or figure out what one width is, how do we do that? Well, we're going to want to move everything else to the other side of our equal sign. And right now, everything else is our 2L, and we are adding to it. So we undo addition by subtraction. So we're going to get P minus 2L, or P plus negative 2L, equals 2W. Now the only thing happening to my W is that it's multiplied by 2. So the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So we will divide both sides by 2. And our width is going to equal our perimeter plus negative 2 times our length over 2. We can do the heart method for this one if we would like. And we would also could write this as 1/2 times our perimeter, or P over 2, plus negative L, because the 2's would cancel out. Since we have variables on both sides of our equal sign for formulas, we are going to need a new way to talk about our functions. So if we have the equation 2x plus y equals 7, and we want to solve for y, what would we do? Well, right now we are adding 2x to our y, and the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. So we're going to subtract 2x. And what we do to one side of an equal sign, we have to do to the other to stay balanced, so that we are going to get y equals negative 2x plus 7. What we just did was wrote y as a function of x. The next two examples that we are about to go over, I am going to need to see in your notes. If we are given the equation 2x minus 3y equals 10, we are going to be able to rewrite that in two different ways. The first way that we are going to do that is we are going to rewrite it so that y is a function of x. So y is a function of x. So what exactly does this mean? Well, if we just look at the first part of this saying, we have y is. And if we were to translate is into a symbol, well, that would mean equal. So we have y equals, and what does y equal? Well, some function that has x in it. So if we take our 2x minus 3y equals 10, and rewrite it so that y is a function of x, all we're doing is we're solving for y. So the first thing we're going to have to do is subtract away our 2x, and we'll be left with negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 10. Now all we have to do is divide by 3, or negative 3 I should say, and then we have to divide everything on the right side by negative 3 as well. And this would be a time when we use the heart method. So we'll divide negative 2x by negative 3, and we'll divide 10 by negative 3, and we will get that our y equals 2/3 x, and positive because a negative divided by negative is a positive, plus negative 10/3. So that is y as a function of x. In this example, we're going to rewrite our equation so that x is a function of y. Now this time around we have x is, so we want to get it into the form x equals, which means we are solving for x. To solve for x, we're going to move everything else to the other side, and we're going to start with addition or subtraction. So we are going to add our 3y to both sides so that we get 2x equals 3y plus 10. Now that all of our other terms are on the opposite side of the equal sign of x, we can completely isolate our x by dividing by 2. 2's will cancel out, so x is alone. Once again, we can do the heart method, or we can leave it as x equals 3y plus 10 divided by 2. If we do the heart method, we will get that x equals 3/2 y plus 5. Now I'm going to give you some problems to try on your own. For 1 and 2, you are going to be solving the equation for the specified variable. So for 1, you're solving for r, and 2, you're solving for b. And for both 3 and 4, you are going to rewrite the equation so that n is a function of p. You will be getting the answers in class tomorrow. So good luck.